What's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Welcome in as we got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to give a lot of attention to the quarterback position. Who's going to start, J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz? And then we are going to dive into another Week 7 preview between the Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll also get to a mailbag on the tail half of today's live show. But we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in here. If you guys want the Vikings to beat the Eagles, also my birthday. I was actually going to mention that to you guys. It is my birthday, turning the ripe age of 26 years old. Felt old today. I think 25 was the last year I felt really young. Now we're entering that unk status, as a lot of people were saying down below in the live chat. But we got Sports Girly in the building. Ominously Weird saying happy birthday. I appreciate you, my guy. Z Cool in the building. What's going on? Reed Southern, I appreciate you. George, YTP, thank you. Connor, thank you. Sports Girly, thank you. Noah Carl, thank you so much. Courtney, thank you. Marcos, man, appreciate it. All of you guys, thank you so much. It's gonna be a fun live show today. Should I change my name? No, I like your name. Your name's all good. Don't worry about it. Charity saying happy birthday, Pat. Thank you so much, Charity. Joe in the building as well. Big Dog saying happy birthday. Thank you so much, bro. Zama saying happy birthday, mate. Happy birthday. Thank you. I was about to say happy birthday back to you. Thank you so much. Sports Girly saying hopefully the Vikings win as a gift. That's all I want for my birthday. Just beat the Eagles. It'll be a great birthday weekend. Then we can move on from there. Maybe I will get some good vibes going the Vikings' way. Who the hell knows? But Larry in the building saying happy birthday. Appreciate you. My fellow Libra. Yeah, I found out actually today, or actually last week I was a Libra. I had no idea what I was. Turns out I'm a Libra, whatever the hell that means. But Honestly Weird saying 26 is really young. Yeah, still very young there. Sports Bro saying happy birthday. Thank you so much, man. Big O Beast, Evan, Tommy Wood. Shout out to all of you guys. But let's talk about some football here. Enough about the birthday talk. And, a big concern for the Vikings heading into this game is obviously the run defense. And you're taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, Saquon Barkley. Even though they haven't been a successful running team so far this season, they can still get it done on the ground. So let me ask you guys this. Are you concerned about the Vikings' run defense? I had no idea I was a Libra. Charity, just found that out. Don't know what that means. Don't know anything about all that stuff. But I guess I'm a Libra. But you guys let me know. Are you concerned about the Vikings' run defense? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below. Personally, for me, I'm not too concerned about it, mainly because, we haven't seen them at full strength. And obviously Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman are probably two of the most important guys in terms of stopping the run for this defense. So I'm going to give kind of the benefit of the doubt to Brian Flores, where last year Vikings were one of the top teams in the NFL against the run. They're second in the NFL. And obviously Van Ginkel and Cashman played majority of the season. But even when Cashman had to miss a couple of games, that 2-week stretch early on in the season against the Lions and the Rams when they ran all over us, we definitely felt the absence of Blake Cashman. Now with him back in the fold, Andrew Van Ginkel should probably go this weekend. I haven't gotten really any updates from the Thursday practice, but he was limited during the Wednesday practice. So I'm going to say he has a good chance of going, but that'll be a huge injury update that will probably get Saturday, which is also, you guys probably, for the 90 people in the building right now, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because we will probably have a video coming out either Friday night or Saturday night once the Vikings announce the starting quarterback, and obviously all the big-time injury news around Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman. Brian O'Neill should be ready to go this weekend, which is awesome stuff there. Will Fries was talking about it, saying he can't wait that Brian O'Neill next to him was, just completely hyping him up. So that's all good news there. And also the Vikings, for the first time all season today, they had all 53 players on their 53-man roster practice. That has never happened so far this season, heading into Week 7, so that's just fantastic stuff there. But we do have Z Cool coming in with a super chat. What's going on? Saying, if half the locker room wants Wentz to start and the other half wants JJ to start, how do you think you appease both sides? Do you think we have full respect and direction from our brass to maintain control? HBD, appreciate you, Z Cool. Yeah, honestly, I don't really think it matters what the locker room wants. I think this just matters what Kevin O'Connell feels is right to, who he thinks gives the Vikings a better chance to win this upcoming game. And as it stands right now, all the, bullet points are trending in the direction that Carson Wentz should get the start this weekend. I would probably, if I had to give my best guess, I don't think JJ would even start that Thursday game against the Chargers. I would assume Week 9 in Detroit. Again, tough spot for him to just be thrown back into the fire, but he should be, 110% healthy at that point. So I think that's when JJ McCarthy will return, but I don't think the locker room should really matter. I think it just all comes down to, what does Kevin O'Connell want? he is the quarterback whisperer. He is the guru. He's the offensive play caller. So I'm just going to answer that as, it's whatever, Wentz wants. Now, if there are some guys in the locker room that believe J.J. McCarthy should start, like, that probably makes an impact on Kevin O'Connell's decision on who he is going to roll out there, but probably just chalk it up to whatever KOC thinks is right. But it is crazy that we are Thursday here at about 4 o'clock Central Time, and we have no idea who the starting quarterback is. I don't remember the last time, here covering the Vikings, my third full season now, that this has ever been the case. Because even when Kirk Cousins got hurt, and there was that whole debate, like, Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, Jaron Hall, like KOC told us pretty early on in the week who was going to be the starting quarterback. Now, obviously, this is a different situation. This is a unique situation the Vikings are in, but we have not seen that just yet. So I think it's just KOC's, decision here. But Z-Cool, I really do appreciate you. Now, I want to ask you guys this, because I had a little galaxy brain thought here late last night when I was just thinking about this football team with the NFL trade deadline approaching. We have heard no whispers about Jalen Nailor getting traded. But I was just thinking about it. I think it's on the table. And I'll explain my full thoughts on the first segment of today's show. But let me just ask you guys this. Would you trade Jalen Nailor? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. Personally, for me, I'm probably saying pass on a Jalen Nailor trade. But also, I could see the Vikings front office having some interest here. And again, I don't want to spoil my thoughts, so we'll save that here for a second. But I just want to get you guys' thoughts here first. Is Z-Cool saying T? Sports Bros saying T. Hemingway saying pass. Sports Bro, pass. Noah Carl saying T. Larry saying P. Sports Girly, P. Z-Cool saying get some draft capital. Yeah, I mean, if you could get a 6th-round pick for Speedy, I think you have to take it. 5th-round pick for sure, but also I don't really know what his value is on the trade market. I would assume he probably goes for maybe a 5th, 6th swap. I think he's got a little more value than a 6th, 7th swap, so maybe it's that, but I think the Vikings would have some interest in trading Jalen Nailor. I'll explain my thoughts here on the first segment of today's show. But I do want to remind you guys, we do have this raffle for this weekend. We are giving away this Vikings signed poster. This thing is freaking sweet. It's got all the signatures from all the marquee players on the Vikings team. So raffle tickets this Sunday will go for $10, but today want to cut a deal for all the people that watch our live show. So Z-Cool, you sent in a $10 super chat earlier. You'll get 2 more raffle tickets for this beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork for the Minnesota Vikings. So as Z-Cool saying mine, hey, best of luck, Z-Cool. But if you guys want to get a super chat in there, just $5 will get you guys a raffle ticket. So take advantage of this, but we'll bring it back for the Sunday game versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's probably the best super chat raffle item that we're giving away this season. Had to bring it out. Big time game against the Eagles, so it's gonna be a ton of fun. So it's just $5 super chat to get in there. But Z-Cool, he already sent in a 10, so he's gonna get 2 more raffle tickets into the raffle. Big O B saying, do you think JJ could split with Wentz this week? Or that just never happens. You never split quarterback reps, but at practice they're splitting reps for sure. Tommy Woods, smash the like button. We appreciate you. Old Red, no bathroom breaks this weekend. No bathroom breaks this weekend. Don't worry about it. As soon as we trade Nailor, receiver will get hurt. Yeah, Vikings luck, that would be the case. But coming up, we're going to talk about who's starting this week at quarterback. I think all signs are pointing to Carson Wentz getting the start. Revenge game, which I will say, kind of excited for it. Obviously, you guys know I'm a J.J. McCarthy fan, or a stan. But I also think Carson Wentz this weekend, he'll have some juice heading into that game, and I still think the Vikings have a good chance of winning it. Then we'll dive into another Vikings versus Eagles preview, talk about the game. Mainly want to focus in here on if the Vikings don't stop the run, they could be in big trouble this weekend. Now, that's a huge question mark heading into the game. That's probably the number one key to victory. It'll be the Eagles rushing offense versus the Vikings run defense. But if you can stop the run, you should be set up for success. And then we'll dive into a mailbag. So just use hashtag Vikings down below. Or if you guys want to super chat like my guy Z-Cool did, just get those comments in the comment section right now. Hashtag Vikings. And if you guys are ready to rock and roll, dive in the first segment. Let's just get to 30 likes here. We got 26 likes right now. Just need 4 more likes, and we'll dive into the first segment. How much do you think Kevin O'Connell will use Akers in the passing game again? I'm going to guess he doesn't go with a Cam Akers pass this weekend, but Justin Jefferson apparently he was throwing passes at practice today. Alec Lewis tweeted that out. Now, he also clarified this was before practice, but in KO, he pulls out a Jefferson pass at least once per season. Maybe it's this week he gets to the Jefferson pass. Also, if you guys are on Twitter, did you guys see the clip of Justin Jefferson going undercover with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. It was absolutely hysterical. If you guys haven't checked it out, check it out after today's live show. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff. But we'll dive into it all on today's show. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. A lot to talk about around the Vikings. Honestly, I'm kind of sick and tired of talking about who is the starting quarterback. I think it's going to be Wentz, but it's also a little weird that KOC hasn't fully announced it just yet. Judging KOC's doghouse, I will give him credit. That was freaking hilarious out of him. Just the way he asked that question, it was perfect. Then Kevin O'Connell was just like staring him dead in the eyes, and he's like, "Are you serious, dude?" I thought it was awesome out of Judd. So shout out to him, man. That was awesome stuff. I think JJ is starting, but they're trying to hold. I could maybe see that being the case, but I don't know. I just think all the signs, at least if we're just assuming the Vikings are being truthful with what they're telling us, probably going to be Carson Wentz here. Yeah, maybe they are, Eric. Who the hell knows? Big O Beast, if you were the trade, what position would it be for? I'd like another linebacker. I think that would be number one. Like a Demario Davis is probably my biggest, swing big, like my big game hunting trade target for the Minnesota Vikings would probably be Demario Davis. But again, I just don't think the Vikings are going to get too active here. But we do have Bro Zama been swagging, trying to get more raffle tickets in there. He's getting 4 more, sending a $20 super chat. We appreciate you, Bro Zama. Shout out to you, Brody. Bro Zama and Z Cool, you guys are dominating the raffle ticket entries right now. So you guys will have a great head start for Sunday. But Bro Zama, we appreciate it. Love the regular show profile pick. Shout out to you, man. Too Evil, Too Hope saying, if you'd answer Wentz in the poll, you need to go back to licking the condensation off the windows. Listen, I understand for people wanting Carson Wentz to start. It's a revenge game for him. Honestly, I am tired of debating this. Like, I am glad that this is probably the last show we're going to do. Probably going to have to talk about it next week. I just can't wait for JJ to be back. He'll be back eventually, but it also becomes a little dicey. Like, what happens if, JJ can't play the next 2 games and Wentz wins the next 2 games? Like, what do you do for that Week 9 matchup? That's going to be a dicey situation. So we're going to be talking about the quarterback position a lot over the next 3 weeks, but once JJ gets a start, then it's like fully diving into, game plan, like the actual film, the X's and O's, which will be, fun to do. But we're at 29 likes. We just need one more person to hit that thumbs up icon, and we'll dive into today's show. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, taking time of your day to watch Vikings Now. And there we go. We're at 30 likes. So if you guys are ready to rock and roll, just give me those skulls down below in the comment section. And let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got the latest injury news on the Minnesota Vikings front and the Philadelphia Eagles front. And the Eagles, they're getting a lot of key guys back. Jalen Carter will be out there this Sunday. Quinion Mitchell should be good to go. Landon Dickerson, I'm assuming they're going to hold him out, but we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the week. And then on the second half of today's show, I do want to talk about a Vikings trade that nobody is talking about. There are no reports. There are no rumors. This is just me speculating, so I do want to talk about that on the second half of today's show. But speaking about this must-win game against the Philadelphia Eagles, it's going to be a battle. It's 2 NFC North powerhouses, in my opinion, 2 of the best rosters in the NFC going head-to-head at US Bank Stadium. And if you guys want the Vikings to move to 4-2 on the season, there is such a difference, especially in this loaded NFC North, this loaded NFC between 3-3 and 4-2. So if you guys want the Vikings to beat the Eagles, go down there and smash that thumbs up icon. All right, let's start off first talking about the quarterback position. Honestly, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of talking about it, but the latest reports we are getting and all the signs are pointing to Carson Wentz starting versus the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming Sunday. Now, biggest reason for me thinking that, and we are filming this here on Thursday, but we only have the Wednesday injury report right now, and the biggest thing you're going to notice here is Carson Wentz with that shoulder injury. He participated in full, and J.J. McCarthy with that ankle injury, he was only a limited participant. So obviously, I think this is telling me that the Vikings are leaning towards Carson Wentz, but the one kind of tidbit here that makes me think J.J. has a slight chance is, why did Kevin O'Connell just flat out announce it? Because I don't think there really is any gamesmanship he's playing with Vic Fangio, Eagles defensive coordinator. Like, I'm sure they're not really switching up their game plan too much compared to Carson Wentz starting with J.J. McCarthy. But some other guys here, Blake Cashman, full participant. That is awesome. Michael Juergens, full participant as well. And then I have never been this happy to see this many guys listed as limited. Like Donovan Jackson, he should be out there. Brian O'Neill, he should be out there. Now, Andrew Van Ginkel is the kicker here. He did practice and limited with that neck injury, but if he is able to go, like you're going to have all starters defensively, which will be absolutely huge for this Vikings defense with a tough test against the Eagles offense. Even though they have been struggling, they still have all types of talents. They have two great wide receivers, got a great running back in Saquon Barkley. So having Andrew Van Ginkel back in the fold will be huge. But let's tie this back into Carson Wentz here. If Carson Wentz does get the start, which, like I said, all points are indicating that he will, a Wentz win against the Eagles would legitimately break that fan base. Like, the Eagles fan base, I mean, they are a 4-2 football team, and they're acting like the world is ending. And if they go to US Bank Stadium, lose their third game in the row, and they lose to Carson Wentz, could you imagine the reaction that fan base would have? I absolutely love the idea of Wentz beating them. I think Wentz is going to have a little extra juice, even though that was a while ago when he was with the Eagles. I mean, back in, I think, 2017, 2018 was his last season. But, I mean, could you imagine what Eagles fans would be saying, especially if Carson Wentz, thoroughly outplays Jalen Hurts? I mean, what are they going to be saying after the game? Like, that fan base will be in disarray. They'll be crashing out. So that would be one huge, at least benefit for me, watching another fan base absolutely collapse there if Wentz does end up beating them. But we do have another update coming in here from Darren Wolfson, as he did say this, saying Carson Wentz is expected to start on Sunday. And he said he can't imagine J.J. McCarthy being ready for next week's game on Thursday night. So this is kind of setting up for Carson Wentz to have another 2-game window where he'll probably get to start this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. He'll start on that short week as the Vikings are traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Now, I'm also assuming the NFL, for the storyline side of it, I am sure they're praying that J.J. McCarthy's back. Because then you have the J.J. McCarthy versus Jim Harbaugh storylines. I'm sure the NFL, they're hoping just get more buzz around that game. And obviously, J.J. McCarthy, a polarizing player regardless of the storylines. Like, I'm sure they're hoping that J.J. is out there. But at least Darren Wolfson, he's saying that Carson Wentz will probably start the next 2 games. So it sounds like J.J. will return Week 9 back in Michigan, taking on the Detroit Lions on the road. Now, I made this argument on a previous show that, the schedule really shouldn't matter when J.J. McCarthy returns. I think it's just easy to say, the Ravens at home would be an easier spot for J.J. to return. They don't have a good defense compared to the Lions. You're also back at US Bank Stadium. You're not on the road in Detroit. But I don't really think the schedule should matter too much because, J.J. is going to eventually, in his NFL career, have to go to Detroit and play the Lions. He's going to have to go to Lambeau and play the Packers. Like, the NFL, it's a brutal league, so you can't really kind of pick your spots on the schedule. If he is ready to go, whenever he is 110% fully healthy, you have to play him. But also, I am very, very excited to see Wentz play this weekend. But, I think the question becomes, if that report from Darren Wolfson is true and, we're going to take his word for it, what happens if Carson Wentz wins the next 2 weeks? Like, what if he beats the Eagles? What if he goes on the road and beats a very good Chargers team, and then he's 4-1 as the Vikings starter, and the Vikings are 5-2 as a whole? Then would they go back to J.J. McCarthy? Especially if Wentz plays well. Like, I don't even know if I would want to go back to J.J. McCarthy. And you guys know me. I'm one of the biggest J.J. McCarthy fans out there. But if Wentz, he can change my opinion on that situation very, very fast. Because if he goes out there, beats 2 quality football teams, Vikings move to 5-2, it would be a tough sell for the other guys and the veterans in that locker room saying, hey, we still need to develop the kid. We need to figure out if we have an answer, even if it is a detriment to us winning that week. Also in a massive spot against the Detroit Lions. If the offense is rolling, you're on a 2-game win streak. That gets incredibly dicey on who's going to start that Week 9 game. So that's going to be something to follow over the next couple of weeks. But some great news for Vikings fans for the first time all season. Kevin Seifert tweeting this out, that the Vikings are practicing indoors today. That's not the first time all season, but this is. All members of the 53 on the field in some capacity. That has never happened this season. It feels so good. That's why I've been making the argument. I feel like the Viking season truly does start this Week 7 matchup against the Eagles because you have been able to kind of maintain the ship a little bit. You've been able to overcome some adversity, a lot of injuries. You're traveling across the pond, and now you're getting all these guys fully healthy. You're getting some key cogs in the system back. Van Ginkel, Cashman, Brian O'Neill, Donovan Jackson. It's going to be very, very, very exciting. Now, obviously, Ryan Kelly and Aaron Jones not included here, but they're not on the 53-man roster right now. But, hey, in a couple of weeks, we might have the full 53-man roster from beginning of the season back. So this team is getting healthy. But, again, this weekend, it all comes back to the quarterback position. It comes back to Carson Wentz. And even though you guys know me, I'm a massive, massive J.J. McCarthy fan, I will stand on this take. If he is 100% healthy, I think you have to start him. But also, I'm going to be supporting that redhead brother, Carson Wentz, all game on Sunday. We'll be pulling for him. So if you guys want to show him some love, type those 11s down below. Show Carson Wentz your support because he's got to go get his revenge against his former team this upcoming weekend. So type those 11s down below in the comments section. All right, coming up next year on the show, I do want to talk about a trade that no Vikings fans are talking about, no beat reporters are talking about. There are no reports out there. But this was just some late night thoughts I had with the trade deadline, approaching over the next couple of weeks. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that being Prize Picks. Now, if you guys download the Prize Picks app today, plug in promo code CLNS, we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks has a brand new feature called Stacks, meaning you can pick up to the same player 3 times in the same lineup. So, for example, if you want to pick more on Justin Jefferson's receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns this weekend against the Eagles, well, now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. And they have another cool feature called the Feed tab, where you guys can follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new Feed tab on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, so the trade idea that I had pop in my brain late at night was around Jalen Nailor. And I think a Jalen Nailor trade is a little more likely than we think. And I will say this first. This is pure speculation on my end. There are no Vikings beat reporters reporting this, like Alec Lewis, Ben Gesselin, any of these tapped-in guys. They haven't reported this whatsoever. There is no smoke here. But, again, this is just speculation on my end. So let's dive into it. So, number one, Jalen Nailor is on the last year of his contract. He was a 6th-round pick. He's on the books for the rest of the season for around $900,000. So for a team trying to acquire Jalen Nailor, it's a very easy contract to consume under their current cap space in 2025. And also, the Vikings this past draft drafted his future replacement. They drafted Ty Felton for a reason. They want him to be the wide receiver 3 of the future. Even, after they traded for Adam Thielen, they still believe Ty Felton will be the wide receiver 3 of the future next to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. So really, do they have a need for Jalen Nailor after the season? I don't think so. And also this, teams right now in the NFL are completely desperate for wide receivers. Now, most of these teams are looking for true wide receiver 2s, like we've heard Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, Jacoby Myers, like these more prominent names in the NFL, they have been out there. But what if these teams who are battling out for a Jacoby, for an Olave, for a Waddle, strike out on those guys? Well, then maybe they could be calling the Minnesota Vikings to get a guy like Jalen Nailor who can still spread the field. He can put some pressure on the safeties. He is a burner. So teams will be calling potentially for Jalen Nailor. And also, this is connecting some dots here. This could make the Adam Thielen trade worth it. Because I think we can all collectively agree the Adam Thielen trade right now kind of, it doesn't look like a disaster. You necessarily only gave up a 5th-round pick when it's all said and done. But, it's definitely not a good trade for the Vikings. And if you want to make this trade worth it, of you giving up a 2026 5th-round pick, a 2027 4th-round pick, this would allow Thielen just to hop in that wide receiver 3 position. And if you keep Jalen Nailor on the team, is Thielen really going to have too much opportunity to make this trade worth it? I have my doubts there. So, again, I'm not saying there's any smoke around Nailor getting traded. I could just see this being something like kind of similar to the TJ Hawkinson trade when he was traded at the NFL trade deadline. I remember when I got that notification, I was like, did I take an edible or something before I got into work today? Like, there was no reports about that. And we get this bombshell that the Vikings were trading for TJ Hawkinson. So there could be some smoke there, or there isn't smoke there, but this could be something that goes down. So could the Vikings trade Jalen Nailor? I think it's definitely on the table. Again, I'm not saying I would trade Nailor. I just think from the Vikings front, like if you want to, maybe you get like a 5th-round pick back for Nailor, that could make the Adam Thielen trade worth it because you're getting a 5th-round pick back which is pretty much what you gave up for Thielen, and then you'd be getting more production out of Thielen since he would be in that wide receiver 3 spot. It's just pure speculation on my end. But with NFL trade deadline, coming up in the next couple of weeks, like, it has kind of turned into almost like the prime of the NBA trade deadline, where if you guys remember in the NBA, like, it used to be hectic around the trade deadline. Like, superstars, role players are getting traded, felt like every other 10 minutes when the trade deadline was approaching. I could see Jalen Nailor being one of those sneaky names. So I'll kind of call my shot here. I'm not saying he is going to be traded, but I definitely think there is a chance. So I'll ask you guys, not would you trade Jalen Nailor, but do you think the Vikings will trade Jalen Nailor? What say you? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And we'll hop on out of here. Appreciate all of you guys for watching today's show. As always, let's go Vikes. All righty. What's going on, everybody? Two Evil, Two Hope saying brain dead Vikings fans are chasing meaningless wins in a lost season. I don't think the season is lost whatsoever. I still think you're going to have a top 3 defense in the league when it's all said and done. You're already top 5 in every major statistical category. So I don't think this is a lost season by any means. I mean, you did go all in free agency. Like, the Vikings don't view this as a lost season. And if they think that Carson Wentz gives them a better chance to win football games over the next couple of weeks, then they're just going to roll him out. Now, let me just double check here if we got any more reports coming in from practice around the as Darius Frost, Justin Jefferson, talking to the media right now. So KOC won't be talking, so we won't get any update there. Shout out to Judd, though. Zuglad, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Absolutely hilarious question. He asked Kevin O'Connell. KOC was definitely a grumpy KOC when he answered that one, but that was pretty funny stuff there from Judd. So shout out to him. And nothing just yet. Haven't got the injury report, so we'll keep you guys posted with that when that time comes. Run defense is 24th according to Fox Sports. Yeah, we're going to mainly talk about the run defense here coming up, Z-Cool, and why this is going to be huge for the Vikings. Like, the biggest key to victory in this game is stopping Saquon Barkley and that Eagles rushing attack. So we'll dive into it here in a second. But again, quick call here for the mailbag. If you guys want to get your questions up on screen, hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. We'll answer all of your questions here. So if you guys want to ask anything on your favorite football team, get those questions down below. As Jacob saying, I watched Jetta's undercover video. Hilarious. It was so funny, man. Jetta's could have a future in acting if this football thing doesn't work out for him. Simeon saying, but I kind of feel good about J.J. McCarthy because that Falcons defense is crazy. I know. After watching what the Falcons defense did to Josh Allen, very similar game plan to how they treated J.J. McCarthy, where they're going to have an all-time blitz rate. They blitzed on 52% of their plays, very similar to how much they blitzed the Vikings. And we saw Josh Allen struggle against it. Jeff Albright's a hell of a defensive coordinator. He's been actually the one guy who has given Josh Allen fits over the last couple of years. Like, back in 2022, he gave him fits. So, it definitely makes me feel just a little bit better. But if you guys could get those questions in there, we'd appreciate you. We'll dive into the next segment here in a second. Alrighty. Yeah, we'll dive into it. We're going to be talking about the Eagles-Vikings game here. Hopefully Carson Wentz looks like the 2018 MVP. If he gets back to that, we're gonna win a lot of football games this year if he gets back to that play. But we'll see. We'll see. If you guys are ready to go, hit that thumbs up icon. Need 4 more likes for 50. So if you guys could smash that thumbs up button today. Alrighty. Yeah, let's talk about this Vikings-Eagles game here. Then we'll dive into a mailbag, but let's dive into it. Let's do it. We got a big-time matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Philadelphia Eagles this upcoming Sunday at US Bank Stadium, where the Eagles are 1-point favorites in this matchup. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about if the Vikings are in big trouble unless they do this one thing. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in. So the one thing the Vikings need to do this weekend has to be to stop the run. And this can't happen. The Vikings lose this game if this is the Saquon Barkley get-right game. Because Saquon Barkley has not been the same running back that he was the previous season. Now, naturally, when you're coming off a season where you had 450-plus touches, it's tough to maintain that efficiency. But there's no doubt the Eagles' offensive line has been struggling this year. Saquon, even though he is still one of the most premier and best running backs in the league, he's not the same guy last year where he was legitimately one of the best football players, let alone a position in the NFL. And his stats this year, pretty underwhelming. Incredibly underwhelming compared to what he was. 95 carries, 325 rush yards, only averaging 3.4 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns, and they still tried to get him involved in the passing game, having 19 receptions for 137 receiving yards. But, like I was saying, Saquon, not the same guy that he once was, but if you do want to beat this Brian Flores defense, you're going to have to run the football. And we have seen teams like the Lions who have had success against Flores. It's always guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery having big-time games. And if the Vikings allow Saquon Barkley to get right, could be a tough situation for the Minnesota Vikings defense. But I do want to show you guys an interesting graphic here talking about running back yards after having 450-plus touch seasons. So this is it. Saquon Barkley right now, he is on pace to have a 974-yard drop-off this season. And running backs in the past, when they're coming off high-usage years, it's naturally what just happens. Like DeMarco Murray in 2014, he was crazy in 2013, but that 2014 year, he had 1,400 less yards than he did the previous. Arian Foster back in 2012, he had 1,200 less yards from the previous season. Larry Johnson back in 2006. Curtis Martin back in 2004. Amon Green, he was also in the negative. Now, the only guy that was in the positive was LaDainian Tomlinson. Now, LaDainian Tomlinson, like Saquon, an all-time great running back. So I'm not saying Saquon, necessarily falls into this category, but it's definitely not an ideal stat if you're an Eagles fan. You even got guys like Eddie George and Edgerrin James also on this list. And like I was saying, Saquon on pace to have a 974-yard drop-off this season if he maintains his pace right now. And, I'm sure Saquon and this whole Eagles offense probably has these stats posted up in the locker room saying, we got to get right this week because the Vikings' run defense has been a major issue. Teams are running the ball almost 50% of the time against the Vikings because they understand if you want to attack this Flores defense, you got to be able to establish the run. If you're not able to establish the run and you get in the third and long situations and you allow Brian Flores to show his exotic blitz looks, it's going to be a tough game for that Eagles offense. And they've also been very efficient when running the football. 4.5 yards per carry. Vikings giving that up. That's 22nd in the league. They're also running almost 30 times a game for 132 yards, and they're giving up almost a whole rushing touchdown per game. So obviously, these stats, if you're just taking them at face value, you're probably saying, oh, this will be the Saquon Barkley get-right game. But I don't think that's going to be the case because the Vikings defense also, for this game, they're going to have to carry. Because right now, as we're filming this, we have no word whether it's J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz who's going to start, regardless of who is in at quarterback. The Vikings are going to need to lean on their defense in this matchup. You have the crowd noise. You're back at home. You should be getting Andrew Van Ginkel back. You're for sure getting Blake Cashman back. So having those two guys back will be huge in terms of stopping the run because we've seen the drop-off when they're not in the lineup compared to when they are in the lineup. So having those two guys back will be huge. But this Vikings defense is going to have to be a statement game. Like you got Brian Flores going against Kevin Patullo, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, going against one of the worst offensive coordinators in the league. That has to be a huge advantage for the Vikings this weekend. So I think they got a good chance. We'll talk about it more here in a second, but I do want to get you guys an updated look at the Week 7 sub battle. We're taking on Eagles now. My guy Chase Sr. does great work over there. But right now, they got the 11 subscriber league this week. So if you guys could, hit that subscribe button today. We're at 213. They're at 224. So if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button. Lock us in as you go to Vikings YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button today. Now, in terms of attacking the Eagles defense, the Vikings are going to have to roll the die and force the Eagles passing game to beat you. Because there is no doubt in my mind that if they had to pick one, like if you're asking Brian Flores, would you rather get beat by Saquon Barkley or would you rather get beat by Jalen Hurts in this passing game? He would 100% choose Jalen Hurts in the passing game. So I expect the Vikings to be ultra aggressive on early downs, sending a lot of early blitzes, trying to get this Eagles offense in the third and long situations. And if you can do that, you will be incredibly successful on third downs. You'll be incredibly successful as a whole defensively. And getting these two guys back is going to be absolutely massive. Andrew Van Ginkel dealing with a neck injury. Blake Cashman, he'll be back with that hamstring injury. We'll probably get the roster elevation for him, here over the next couple of days or so. But, having these two be back will be absolutely massive because we were showing some stats early on in the season. The Vikings rush defense success rate, they're number one in the league with these two in the lineup. But when they're not in the lineup, they're one of the worst in the league. So these two play huge, huge impact. I know a lot of times as fans, I almost feel like we downplay injuries a lot of the time. We're saying, oh, we can overcome it. It's about the system. But I still think, at the end of the day, it's about the Jimmies and Joes out there on the football field. And Andrew Van Ginkel, Blake Cashman, they're some of the best in the league at their respective positions. So having these guys will be back. That will be massive. And also, if you do want to force the Eagles into passing the football, the Vikings are the best passing defense in the NFL right now. Defensive EPA per dropback NFL leaders. The Vikings are number one by a wide margin. This is probably the best stat around the Vikings defense, and it's honestly incredibly positive heading into the rest of the season, because biggest concern about this defense heading into the year was the passing defense, because they struggled last year. You had a question mark at the corner 2 spot, corner 3 spot, even at the safety position we had question marks. But they're one of the best in the league, up there with the Broncos, the Texans, the Rams, the Falcons. All these teams have some of the top units in the NFL. And also Jalen Hurts, he struggles throwing the ball downfield. This is Hurts on targets of 10-plus yards this season. He's 10 of 28, 4.8 passer rating, 35.7 completion rate, 30th in accuracy, and 35th in completion rate. So obviously he struggles pushing the ball down the field, and especially when you're going against a Brian Flores defense, you're going to have to. Even though it does require you, the dink and dunk, to be a high-level processor, but also with the Flores defense, you've got to take your chances. That's why we have seen Goff, one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz in the NFL. Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz in the NFL as well. Hurts is not that. So I would rather force the hand of the Eagles, be super aggressive on early downs, but if you don't do that and you allow Saquon Barkley to get going and you put Jalen Hurts in a lot of 3rd and 4s and you just drop it off to Goddard, the Vikings defense might have a long day. And the Eagles' offense as a whole, we talked about the rushing attack not being up to par. Their whole offense isn't up to par, at least to their standard. 29th in the league in yards per game, 29th in pass yards per game, rush yards. They're 25th in the league, points per game. They're still at 15th, averaging 23.7, but third downs, they haven't been too efficient either. And also this, I'll just be completely shocked if the Vikings defense doesn't show up on Sunday. No matter what, I have question marks around the quarterback position, no matter who it is, whether that's, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, doesn't matter. I'll have some concerns, but I have no concerns about the defense showing up. I think this pass rush will be able to get home. I think they'll be able to stop the run. And I think if the Vikings do want to win this game, like I was saying, the defense is going to need the carry. So you got to let these guys, you got to give these pass rushers advantageous situations, which is 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 10s. How do you get there? You stop that run. And also I want this guy to potentially have a revenge game. Isaiah Rodgers. There are reports coming out, and apparently there are fake reports that the Eagles wanted to bring Isaiah Rodgers back. But Isaiah Rodgers, he quote tweeted one of those reports saying this: LOL, don't believe the media. See y'all Sunday. I love that from Zay. Honestly, he's slowly turning into one of my favorite players on the Vikings roster. I love his personality. Obviously, his game is fantastic. He is, playing like one of the best cornerbacks in the league this season. Had that unreal game against the Cincinnati Bengals where he had a perfect PFF grade. He truly, truly was special. So I can't wait to see him play. But it all starts with the Vikings stopping the run this weekend. So where do you stand on this one? Are you concerned about the Vikings' run defense? Huge question around this football team right now. You guys let me know your thoughts. Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Now we'll talk about this game and if it's a must-win game for the Vikings here in a second. But if you guys want to get some more Vikings merch, check out this link, chatsports.com/Vikings combo. This t-shirt combo right now normally goes for $49.99, but right now it's $29.99. So take advantage of this deal. Click that link in the comment section and description of today's show. It's 2 t-shirt pack, $20 off. Just click that link, chatsports.com/Vikings combo. All right, so I do want to talk about if this game is a must-win game for the Minnesota Vikings, because obviously in the NFL, there is such a difference between having a 3-3 record compared to a 4-2 record. And with how tight the NFC is, and mainly how tight the NFC North is, I can make the argument this is a must-win game, because if you drop to 3-3, one, that puts so much more pressure on that Thursday game against the Los Angeles Chargers, because if you drop that one, you're 3-4, you could pretty much kiss the season goodbye, at least kiss your playoff hopes and your NFC North hopes goodbye, because also the NFC North, yet again, the best division in football. I find it so funny. When the NFL offseason comes around, this has been the case for the last couple of years. Everybody's saying, the AFC West is going to be the best division in football. The NFC East this year, they could be the best division in football. The NFC West could be. It's always the NFC North. The NFC North, it is the best coaching staff division in the league, like LaFleur, Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, Ben Johnson, 4 of the best coaches in the league. You got, Jordan Love, I think, is a good quarterback. Goff is a good quarterback. TBD on the Vikings if they have a good quarterback. And Caleb Williams, still TBD if he's a good quarterback. But these rosters, like you think about just all the good players. I mean, the Packers with Micah Parsons. The Lions, they got about 17 blue chippers like Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra, Laporta. I mean, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph. I could go on about a 10-minute rant right now on those two guys, but they're an absolutely stacked roster. Vikings are stacked. The Bears are stacked. This is the best division in football. So when you're at home, even though you're playing a very good team like the Eagles, I can make an argument every home game is a must-win game for this team because also the schedule, it's an absolute gauntlet. There is no debating this. The Vikings have the toughest schedule remaining in the NFL. You are at home against the Eagles. Short week, got to go travel and play the Los Angeles Chargers. Then you got the best team in the NFC, in my opinion, still, the Detroit Lions on the road. Then you're going to be having a Ravens team, even though they're 1-5 right now. That team is going to be playing with their hair on fire, trying to go on a playoff run. So that's going to be tough. Anytime you play the Bears, that'll be tough. In Lambeau, tough. In Seattle, tough. Commanders at home, tough. In Dallas, tough. Even in New York now against the Giants, that's tough. These next 10 games, probably the easiest game will be the Bears at home, but that's an NFC North game. Those are going to be challenging. So if the Vikings, if you want any chance, if you want to win the NFC North title this season, this is a must-win game. You have to win this one. And I think the Vikings will be competing for the North title when it's all said and done. So I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to beat the Eagles 23-20. But if you want to win the NFC North this year, this is a must-win game. The Vikings have been fantastic coming off the bye in the KOC era. Last year, lost a heartbreaker to the Detroit Lions at home. A game-winning field goal. That one ripped my heart out. But the Vikings, that team, played their tails off that week. I think the same thing's going to happen this year, except with a win at the end of the day. So if you want to win the NFC North, no doubt in my mind, this is a must-win game for this football team. But let's get the good vibes going here. You got to beat them. You got to beat the Eagles. And if you guys want the Vikes to beat the Eagles, give me those skulls down below in the comment section. We appreciate all of you guys for watching today's show. As always, Skol Vikes. All righty. What's going on, everybody? Noah Carl saying the AFC South is where it's at. Every offseason, people try to find a better division than the NFC North, and it just never happens. Like, there's not a bad team in this division. I mean, right now, the two favorites in the NFC are the Packers and the Lions. I think the Vikings and Bears are still both top 8. Yeah, I mean, it is a gauntlet of a division, man. People are saying, the AFC North. I mean, obviously, injuries have derailed them. People are saying the AFC West. Are you out of your damn mind? AFC West is a great division. Obviously, you got the Chiefs. Broncos got the best defense in the league right now. Chargers are a great team with Herbert. But when you have a team like the Raiders in the division, come on. Come on. I'll take that as a compliment, Punky. You can start calling me McCoy. The AFC South, we are not going to make an argument the AFC South is just as good as the NFC North here. We're not looking at records. The Colts could be 16-1, and if they were in the NFC North, they would not be 16-1. Do you think the Patriots are a legit good team? I do. Drake May taking that massive leap. Like, obviously, they're playing some great football. I heard Geno was better than Darnold. I heard that all offseason. People were saying the Seahawks made the right choice. Darnold's out there freaking balling in Seattle. Dribble Edit saying Skol. Reed Southern saying yes. No team this year is unbeatable, though. Is my laptop shut off? Unbeatable, though, as long as your team plays competently, they can beat any team. Was letting Daniel Jones go a mistake? Absolutely not. You could make the argument, obviously, letting Sam Darnold go was a mistake right now. I just come out and say it. Like, that looks like a terrible decision. But again, would you be able to stack the roster as much as you have? Not necessarily, but also, did you need to give Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen those contracts? No. So we'll see. I don't know. Still a lot of football left, everybody. A lot of football left. But Daniel Jones, no. Watching him mic'd up with Daniel Jones. This guy's going to turn back into a pumpkin. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah, Colts offensive line. I don't know whoever their offensive line coach is. I would give him $20 million to be the Vikings offensive line coach. Sam would choke again come playoff time. I don't think you can say that. Like, we have no idea. Darnold is playing like the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I was the biggest advocator of letting Darnold go, but I will eat crow here. Probably was a mistake. Probably ends up being a mistake. I'd rather have kept Jones and Darnold. El Jefe, you are my guy. You're out of your mind for saying that. I saw that. People are ridiculous. Well, Justin Jefferson's also at a bye. So for the whole Jefferson-Jamar Chase debate, I think it's ludicrous. But I will say, rooting for Jamar Chase tonight. Hopefully he gets it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers. For us, he would choke again? Okay. I don't think you can say that either, though. I don't think you can say that either. Bomb Squad, what's going on? Sam, my glorious king. Don't care. He'll piss down his leg when it counts. Darnold. I hear you guys. I hear you. But Darnold's playing great football. Darnold looks better in Seattle than he ever did last year, by the way. Which also makes me think, like, if Darnold had another offseason, learning from KOC, learning from McCown, building that connection with Jefferson, like, he might have been even better this year with the Vikes. So, not feeling too good about that. But we are going to be diving into a mailbag. So if you guys want to get on the show, hashtag Vikings or Super Chat, we'd appreciate you. As Bro Zama been swagging coming in saying, you think Flo will stay when the season ends? Who do you think could replace him? Whoever it is, they would have big shoes to fill. Yeah. I feel bad for whoever the next Vikings defensive coordinator is if Flo does end up leaving because, like you said, massive shoes to fill. I mean, you think about the possible head coach openings. The Tennessee Titans won't hire him because just they have a young quarterback, assuming they're going to go offensive-minded head coach. The Miami Dolphins will have a head coach opening. They're for sure not hiring Brian Flores. The New York Jets interviewed Flores, but they're probably going to stay with Aaron Glenn, I would assume, for one more year. Some other coaches, like the Cincinnati Bengals, maybe the Bengals. Like if you just say like, hey, Burrow controls the offense, Flores controls the defense, maybe. But I would be pretty shocked if Flores ends up leaving after this season. Now, if the Vikings go on and their defense is like looking like the 85 Bears for us this season, maybe another team will take a shot at them. But right now, I would probably say Flores ends up staying here. But we do have the Thursday Vikings injury report, everybody. No big changes on the injury report. The only change we have is Donovan Jackson positive. He went from limited to full. So Donovan Jackson will be back out there this weekend. J.J. McCarthy still limited. Carson Wentz in full. Carson Wentz is going to be a starting quarterback. We can just say it right now. Wentz will start. Is what it is. Revenge game. Go get him, Wentz. Can't wait to root for you, Brody. It's going to be a lot of fun. But again, we'll be getting into a mailbag here, so get those last questions in the queue. Hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. We'd appreciate if you guys could get those questions in there. Is he out of his damn mind? What? Come on. Chat Sports. We have a problem with and I try not to do this, but when we're talking about trades as a company, a little behind the curtains here, we have a problem of overvaluing our own players and what they could go for in a trade and undervaluing what other teams' players could go for in a trade. Like, I was talking about DeMario Davis, for example. The Vikings are probably going to need to give up a third, fourth round pick. If you asked Saints fans, they would probably want a first or a second round pick for him, which is absolutely ludicrous. And it's just, that's another conversation for a different day. But if you guys could, hashtag Vikings down below. It's looking like Wentz is going to start this week. So we'll talk about that. But we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. But a little mailbag time. Favorite show of the week. So, Matt, I appreciate you. I love it. Let's add that in there. A little fantasy football question. I love it. Yeah, let's do it. All right, appreciate it. You guys are asking good questions. Let's rip this mailbag. What's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, a good old-fashioned mailbag where it's just me and you guys chopping it up about our favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings. It's my favorite show I do every week. We're going to start off with one of my favorite viewers of the channel, my guy Z Cool. What's going on, Z? Saying, if half the locker room wants Wentz to start and the other half wants JJ to start, how do you appease both sides? Do you think we will have full respect and direction from our brass to maintain control? Also said happy birthday. My birthday was on Thursday, turned 26, which is, I don't know how you guys feel. Turning 26 is one of those ages where you start to feel a little older. Like 25, I still feel like a kid a little bit, but 26, I feel like I need to get my life together. But that's a whole another rant for a different day. But talking about his question, if half the locker room wants Wentz, half wants JJ now. All the reports are indicating that Wentz will be the starter. If you guys are seeing this video and he's not, I apologize, but it is looking like Wentz will be the starter there. But asking a question, how do you appease both sides? I don't really think you do. I just think this is a Kevin O'Connell decision. Like, he's the QB whisperer. He's the one calling the shots every Sunday. So whoever KOC thinks should be the starting quarterback, that should be the starting quarterback. Like, Kevin O'Connell shouldn't really care what the locker room thinks. Now, if Wentz goes out there and let's just say he has a bad game against the Eagles and they struggle, and then we're heading into that Week 8 matchup against the Chargers, and then it's like a lot of chatter coming in from the locker room saying like, oh, we need to roll JJ out there. Like, we can't go out there and win with Wentz. Then it could get a little dicey, but I'm also assuming the locker room, they probably view Kevin O'Connell as, a football god, like a complete just mastermind of the game. So whatever the decision he makes at the quarterback position, like, for example, Jonathan Grenard was saying, like, he loves JJ. He wants to see him back out there. But, like, I'm sure Grenard would even, tell you that, like, yeah, Kevin O'Connell knows more about the quarterback position than I do. So, like, I'm just going to take his word for it. But interesting question there, Z Cool, but it's just a KOC decision. Brozama been swagging. What's going on, Brody? Another great viewer of the channel saying, you think Flo will stay when the season ends? Who do you think could replace him? Whoever it is, they would have big shoes to fill. I think he will stay when the season ends because right now there's only one head coach opening. That's the Tennessee Titans. They're not going to hire him. They have a young quarterback. And I still think teams are a little, wary of hiring Brian Flores after that time with the Miami Dolphins being their head coach. Now, the Dolphins will probably have a head coach opening. Obviously, they're not going to hire Flores. Now, another guy that could get fired, Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe they would have some interest in Flores because their defense has been a complete joke, and they could just say, like, hey, Joe Burrow and whoever the offensive coordinator is, they would control the offense. Flores would then control the defense. I kind of like that idea for the Bengals, if I'm being honest, because also I'm assuming Flores would try to bring Josh McCown with him, and if you have Josh McCown calling plays, Flores as the head coach with Joe Burrow, would have some intrigue there if I was a Bengals fan, but I think he's going to stay. I still think teams at the end of the day are a little gun-shy of hiring Flores just because of the whole drama he has with the NFL. But I totally agree with you. If they do end up getting a new DC at some point over the next couple of years, I mean, they're going to be on the hot seat every week. I would honestly feel bad for that guy, whoever gets that job, just because Flores has done a masterful job here. But I think Flores is going to stay for a pretty long time. Reed Southern saying, who is the most important guy that will be coming back this week? For this week's game against the Philadelphia Eagles? Good question. Well, the Vikes got a lot of guys coming back, but the most important guy, that's a good question. So let's just assume, again, when you guys are filming this, when we are filming this, we don't have an exact injury report. So I'm going to assume Van Ginkel's back, O'Neal, Jackson, and Blake Cashman. So you're getting 4 high-end starters back for this game. I think the most important one, this is tough. Like, I'm between 3 guys. You can cross off Donovan Jackson. Love him, but he's not nearly as important as O'Neal, Van Ginkel, or Cashman. I think I would have to scratch off O'Neal. Now, if it's between Van Ginkel and Cashman, that's tough. I'm going to go Cashman. Where's the green dot? I think it would just be screw that. It's a tie. Cashman and Van Ginkel, I think they're the 2 most important. even Brian O'Neill, he's up there too. I don't really have a good answer for you, Reed. I think all three of those guys are incredibly important getting back, but who's the most important? I'll go Blake Cashman. Lego fella saying, I haven't heard from Ty Felton since week 1. What do you think of that pick now, especially considering we could have had Scattaboo? Well, listen, the Vikings weren't going to draft a running back. They made that crystal clear with that Jordan Mason trade. I think Ty Felton was just a long-term play at wide receiver 3. I think their plans with him was, hey, we'll get him in this organization. He'll get coached up by Jefferson, Keenan Cardell, and Addison, and then he'll be the wide receiver 3 of the future. But he's actually done a great job being a gunner for this football team. We have seen his athletic ability fully on display in the punt coverage unit. So we have seen him make, even though it's a very limited impact, it is still an impact at the end of the day. So, yeah, I'm sure we all maybe would have wanted a different player in the 3rd round. Again, though, it was the last pick of day 2. It is very rare you find a high-end starter, and he still could be a high-end starter. Like, he could still be a great wide receiver 3. And I am excited to watch him develop over the next couple of years. But, yeah, would I have wanted Scattaboo? Right now, 100%. But that also wouldn't have made too much sense at the time of the NFL draft. YBG. Got some YBG watching. What's going on, man, Nolan? If we got the trade with the Patriots and got May, do you think he would be a better fit than JJ? Yeah, 110%. Listen, I joke around with our Patriots Today host, Brett Alper, a lot because it was reported that the Vikings offered 4 first-round picks for Drake May. Obviously, you had the 2, number 11, number 23 at the time. They also offered 2 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons. I mean, shit, man, if we had Drake May, we're probably talking Super Bowl right now on the channel. I mean, we're talking about May also, like the success he's having with Josh McDaniels and that Patriots supporting cast. Imagine the success you would be having with Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I mean, he would be a special, special talent already. So, yeah, I think he would be a better fit? 100%. But also, I see Vikings fans complaining about this on social media. Why are we complaining about it? People are acting like the Vikings had the 3rd pick in the draft and they chose JJ over May. Like, they did everything they could to get Drake May. They offered 4 first-round picks and also more draft capital. They clearly loved him. Kevin O'Connell loved them. You just couldn't get him. Like, shout out to Elliott Wolf for, sticking and picking at pick number 3. They got their franchise quarterback. So, yeah, would he be a better fit? Yeah, because he's just a better quarterback right now than JJ. But also, JJ, unknown commodity at this point. We'll see how he ends up turning out. But if you guys could predict score for me, Minnesota Vikings taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. My score prediction is 23-20. Give me a Will Reichard game-winning field goal. That's what I think is going to happen. Or what if the Vikings? What if we're up 23-20? We have the football, and it's a 4th and 1 at midfield, and we have a tush-push to ice the game. I think that's my ideal ending to this one. But you guys let me know. Predict the score for me. Vikings, Eagles, down below in the comments section. We'll get to more of your guys' questions here in a sec, but before we do so, got to give a massive shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, that being Prize Picks. Now, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Download the Prize Picks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, and we'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick up to the same player 3 times in the same lineup. If you guys want to pick more on Justin Jefferson's receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns, now you can pick all of them in the same lineup this weekend, only on Prize Picks. And you guys can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app. Copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, celebrity, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Now download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Frenzy. If you were KOC, would you start if both were healthy? Carson or JJ? I'm pretty clear about this answer. JJ McCarthy. I just think with where the Vikings are right now, you got to focus on development of the young quarterback. And, again, maybe Carson Wentz gives you a better chance to win, specific Week 7 game or a specific Week 8 game. Probably agree with you on that. But who gives you a better chance to win a playoff game? especially if JJ develops over the next couple of months. I think it's JJ no matter what. So if I was KOC, both of them are 110% healthy. I'm rolling out there McCarthy, and I'm sure KOC has that same answer if you asked him behind closed doors. He would obviously never come out and say it, but I do think it gets interesting, though. Carson Wentz should start this weekend against the Eagles. He'll probably start Thursday against the Chargers. What if he wins the next 2 games? Do they go to JJ for week 9 after Wentz just went 4-1 over the last 5 games? And if he plays good football, then that conversation gets really dicey. Because also, the conversation wouldn't even be a conversation this week if Wentz lit it up the last 3 weeks. Because, yes, he had that nice game-winning drive against the Browns, but for majority of that game, he was flat-out horrible. He was pretty bad against the Steelers. Didn't really have to do much against the Bengals. So this conversation will definitely heat up if Wentz wins the next 2 weeks, and we're heading into that Week 9 game against our division rival, the Detroit Lions. What's the conversation going to be? Noah Carl saying, I think Nailor will go to the Giants since he won't be a key player in a playoff run. Also, why would the Vikings not put JJ on IR if he's going to miss 5 weeks? I think they'll start him soon. So it's also a good point. I think just keeping JJ off short-term IR was just still leaving the door open for him playing. But, yeah, I hear you. It is weird that the Vikings have not announced a starting quarterback just yet. It doesn't really make too much sense because also when we're filming this on Thursday, so a lot can change over the next 48 hours. But Carson Wentz has been a full participant the past 2 days. JJ's been limited. So why would JJ not go on short-term IR, or why would they not just announce Carson Wentz as the starter? I have no idea, and I also do agree. I think Nailor could be a sneaky guy to head to the Giants. If they miss out on Jacoby Myers, Olave, or Waddle, watch out for New York and Joe Shane calling Kwesi for Nailor. But, yeah, I think it's a little interesting. Maybe there's a better chance that he starts this week against the Eagles than I think, or at least at the time of us filming this video. So it's an ever-moving thing, but we'll see what happens. Matt Ackborn coming in. What's going on? Hi, Pat Seeps. I'm a huge fan, and I got a fantasy question for you. I'm your guy. Should I trade DK Metcalf for Derrick Henry? I'm in need of running backs, and I'm kind of stacked on wide receivers, Ladd, DK, Jets, and Pittman. DK Metcalf for Derrick Henry? Yeah, I'm doing that. Especially with the Ravens looking to go on a massive run during the home stretch of the season. They haven't been really giving him too many touches over the last couple of weeks, so I think he's going to be obviously a big focal point of the offense. And plus, of your receivers, you would still have Ladd and Jettas that can maintain the ship even without DK Metcalf for you. So DK Metcalf for Derrick Henry, Matt, 100%. But if you do this trade and you win your football league, you got to give me 5% of your winnings. That's the only exception I'm giving for giving you free fantasy football advice there. But Matt, obviously kidding. Shout out to you, Brody. Evan, how upset would you be if the Vikings lost in Seattle and Sam Darnold played great? I mean, I don't know. It would sting a little bit. I don't know if I would be, too upset. If Darnold goes out there and listen, if Darnold goes up against Brian Flores and that defense is fully healthy and goes for 303 in that game, yeah, I would probably be a little ticked off. I don't think I'll be too upset, though. I mean, the Vikings made their decision. We're moving on. It is what it is. Is it looking like the best decision right now? Absolutely not. I was probably the biggest advocate that the Vikings need to turn the keys over the franchise to J.J. McCarthy, and I'll eat crow already. It's not looking like a good decision. But also, excuse me, if J.J. works out, I could really care less about how Sam Darnold plays. I'll be rooting for him. He was great for the Vikings last year. He gave me some of the most memorable memories I've ever had as a Vikings fan. So nothing but the best for Sam Darnold. But we'll see what happens with Sammy D once playoff time rolls around. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate you. Just hit me with a skull down below in the comments section, and we'll get on out of here. We'll be live for the game this Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. So tune in then. Again, appreciate all of you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes. All righty. If you have a fantasy team, what's your fantasy team? Oh, I'd love to talk about it. My fantasy team's pretty sick. I'll tell you mine in the Chat Sports League. So the injury bug has definitely affected my team, but we're still solid. So right now this week, or I'll give you guys my ideal starting lineup in my fantasy league. I got Lamar Jackson, stud, Jordan Mason and Cam Scatterbo. I like my running backs. Then I got Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, tight end Brock Bowers, and my flex I can either pick between Waddle or Garrett Wilson. Obviously, Garrett Wilson going to miss some time, so we're going with Waddle, and then I always roll out with the Vikings defense and Will Reichard every single week. So I love my fantasy team. It's just going to come down. I think Brock Bowers is going to be the reason I win the league. I think he's going to come back and have some big-time games down the stretch. So he could be a good buy low guy in fantasy. But, I'm loving my fantasy league. Hopefully we got a chance. But, listen, we're going to get on out of here. I appreciate all of you guys for watching. Who do you think I should start, DK Metcalf or Saquon Barkley? DK Metcalf. You should probably start Saquon, but F the Eagles. Buster, we appreciate you, but appreciate you guys for watching. We'll get on out of here. Let's go Vikes.